Hey everyone, it's Rob Ryder. Today we're going to read the back of the can. That would be on the back of general liability insurance in the section having to do with personal and advertising injury. And, and some other parts about it. And, I think you're going to find it quite interesting. I certainly did, and so I'm trying to use this right now. And while I'm waiting for it to see what happens, I'll do a video and talk about how I got there. So it's Monday, 2/24/2020. That would be February 24th, 2020. And I'm Rob Ryder. Hey, until it works, though, I need your financial support. So if you could send a donation to PayPal, that would be wonderful. Or you could send it by mail to Robert Allen Ritlewski, 10955 14 Mile Road, Rockford, Michigan. I just noticed I didn't put my email address on here. I prefer if you email me, if you got a question or whatever, that you send an email to courtofrecord@aol.com. No S's, no Gmail, right? courtofrecord@aol.com. And my phone is 616-712-6179. I don't mind talking to you either, but I would really like it if you could donate if you want to talk to me. Right? Even if most people call me, want me to do something for them, right? And I'm really not trying to get cases dismissed. I'm trying to get them stopped, right? So I've learned a lot of stuff over the last number of years, and I'm trying to go put it to use. And so that means, just staying focused on one particular thing. And that's what's the solution. I don't need any more examples. Your set of facts is just another example of somebody getting screwed, but I'm quite aware of that. So now I'm trying to, find a way to do something with it. So what I did was, give me just a second. I got to load the papers up in the right order. That's the best way to start. Hang on a second. Okay, because I was a bit stalled waiting for answers to other things I have tried and showed in different videos, I said, well, what can I do with what I've already done? And, one of the things I did that I always keep in mind is I did go to the Internal Revenue Service and get an EIN, right, for my name, Robert Allen Ritlewski. There's no additions. It doesn't say trust or anything else to it, right? This is as a sole proprietor. EIN as a sole proprietor, saying that my name is my business, which it is, right? And apparently this is the physical address, maybe not a mailing address, but this is supposed to be the identity of my business. And I got an EIN number just like any other business. And so I was sitting here saying, well, what can you do with this now? And so when I first got it, this is a couple years ago, and I did a video on this. It was called EIN and SSN in your name. But if you go back to watch it, don't pay any attention to the form that I'm showing. It was from a pay site. It wasn't really the right form to show. You could go directly to the IRS website and do all this stuff online, which is how I got mine, right? You need your social security number, and you need to pick your business classification from a NAICS code, right? NAICS code. And there's like almost 10,000, 9,999. And 9,999, or whatever the hell the number is, I can't remember how many digits they use, maybe 99,999, is not otherwise classified. If I was doing it again, I'd just pick that one. I picked some other one. So I'm not going to tell you which one you should pick, or, don't ask me. They have one that's unclassified. Just use that one to get the damn card. Or get the EIN number if, that was your idea. So that was my idea. And so I got this, and then soon after I went to the post office and said, okay, now let me open up a business account, business mailing, and get all that straightened out. And I showed videos doing that. And I went to the bank and I got a business bank account using my EIN number and da-da-da-da-da. But one thing I never did was any tax stuff with it, and I didn't get any insurance. So I started looking at the tax things that go with sole proprietors, and if you've never seen this before, this is a Schedule C for a 1040 form, profit or loss for sole proprietorship, right? So name of proprietor, Robert Allen Ritlewski. Business name, Robert Allen Retluski, right? Check, 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 fill in boxes, W-2s. If you got them, put them. It doesn't ask for anything else other than W-2s. It doesn't ask for 1099s or something, so I wouldn't put them in there. And, I just say, okay, I'd fill it out as you would any other form, and find the things that you could claim. Like it says you can claim your mortgage. Cool. Insurance, rent, lease of vehicles, all sorts of things you can claim on this tax form, which you would file with a 1040 form. So that, this is a Schedule C, and then the 1040 form looks like this. And so I'm looking at this, and, I've learned to really pay attention to forms. And so if I was filling this out now, where it says your first name and middle initial, it would just say Robert Allen. I don't have a middle initial. I have a first name, given name, Robert Allen Retluski. Right? Simple enough. Social security number. But what I noticed, forgetting all that for a second, was it gets down to here where you're given the address. Home address, the number, and street. If you have a P.O. box, see instructions. Well, technically you do have a P.O. box. Or you have an apartment number. I should say that. You have an apartment number. So even if you live in a private residence, when it gets to the apartment number, it's the same as saying it's the last 2 digits of your house number is your apartment number. And so I said, okay, I ought to be putting 55 in here. I've shown this in other videos. It gives you like a 12-digit zip code, right down to one particular identified location. There's only one of these, right? If you only go down to the 5-digit zip code, there's a bunch of them. If you go to the 9-digit zip code, there's still a bunch of them. Even in apartment buildings, there's a bunch of things that use the same address, but there's only one apartment in that building that uses that address. So this is how you authenticate your physical location. And then it had city, comma, town or post office, comma, state, and zip code. Well, it's like, well, now that's strange, It's not city, town, or post office together. It's city, comma, town, or post office. And it had reminded me that some time ago I had gotten mail from a thing I had done with the probate court, that when they wrote back to me, they put that my city, right, for my zip code was Grand Rapids. Now, I don't live anywhere near Grand Rapids. I live in Kent County, but I'm 20 miles from Grand Rapids. Right? My mail comes out of Rockford, and normally that's what I would put as Rockford. But, but Rockford is really the name of my post office, because on their cancel stamp it says Rockford Post Office. So it doesn't have to be my city or town. It's my frickin' post office. So it's like, okay, well, then I should probably be filling this thing out. So it would be Grand Rapids, comma, Rockford, comma, Michigan, comma, 49341. And then it would be properly addressed, because they use this address if it's properly processed to send you mail. Now, I know you're getting mail now, but I think you're getting the bad mail, right? You don't get the good mail because this wasn't done right. We didn't give them our proper address. And so I don't know that to be true. I haven't done it yet, but it's like, okay, well, I'm going to send this in. I'm going to put zeros for everything on this, on the other form. Just send them in and see if giving them the proper address, if they send me something back. So myself, I don't have any fears of the IRS because I don't have anything. And even if I did, I've already been through this with them, right? I would ask for, well, before I asked them to audit me, but now I would just do a small claim against the commissioner with the tax court for $60 and try to get it figured out that way. But I don't really want to have to do any of these things. I'm just showing that, it's interesting the way they have the form, that this is a common thing that they do. They change the way they want your address to show up on the form, and we just fill it out the way that we are normally taught to do it, and it will be incorrect. It's a jot and tittle with the federal government, so it's quite important that it's done right. Anyway, so that was that part. And then I said, well, okay, if I did that, what else could I do? Well, I could get liability insurance. Or could I get liability insurance? Right, I got a bank account. I got an EIN number. I could fill out the tax forms as a business. I should be able to get business liability insurance. And so I was looking for something online, and I found this site here. And, it's like, oh, this is interesting. Well, one of the things I found out, you should read this thing, that they'll give you general liability business insurance by the hour, by the day, or by the month. And so you get a quote, right? And so I had done that, and I was just looking to see what they had on there. And the next page takes you to these are the things that they cover, right? You check one of them, and it'll take you to whatever. So I did them all. I did beauty, fitness, janitors. They're under these is a heading of different jobs, but they all fall under the same heading, and that's the thing that gets the insurance. And so, like, one of them was actor for entertainment, and it would have been $77 a month. And I said, okay, well, that was to cover everything, so I never would be bothered again. I could put everything against insurance, business insurance, because whenever they come against you, they trying to get your property, they're coming after your business name, your all caps name. That's your property. It's your business, right? Well, they want to, steal your copyright or your trademark or something and, use your business and say, no, that's their business. No, it's my business. Well, then I did another one under cleaners and janitors, and it was $27. I said, well, that's much better, right? What's this about? And, you can look at all these things and click on them, and you could have $1 million or $2 million coverage, and for $2 million, it was like $3 more a month. And that's, maybe this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, show full policy details. So I went and looked at the full policy details. Eventually found something that said, where is it at here? See full policy for details. And it actually showed you the policy. Well, come to find out, when you're looking at this policy, which is what we're going to be spending our time on, right, is this boilerplate policy is used for like all forms of general liability insurance. I can't find any other form that's used to say these are the terms and conditions of a general liability insurance policy. So if I get it, it's the same for me as if the state gets it, because general liability insurance is a particular kind of insurance. It's general liability insurance. And I'll show you that, the states have it. I'll show you right now. Hang on just a second. But before I show you, just what it was that was under that heading of janitor was housekeeper. And, all these words have particular meanings. They can be properly defined if that's the intention, and that's what they do in this general liability insurance, is they define all their words that mean something. And so they use the word housekeeper. Well, a housekeeper is one who occupies a house with his family. A man or woman who maintains a family. A man or woman who maintains a family state in a house. A householder. The master or mistress of a family. Well, that's the kind of housekeeper I am. Right? So I say, yeah, I can be a housekeeper. For $27 a month or $30 a month, I can have $2 million in coverage as a housekeeper. Now, what's it going to cover? Well, that will be in the frickin', in the fine print. And so that's when it became necessary to go read the fine print. And, but to show that the state has general liability insurance, right? Here's the producer, State of Illinois, Department of Central Management Services, Bureau of Benefits, Risk Management Division, insured, State of Illinois, Attorney General Lisa Madigan. General liability, commercial general liability insurance. Per occurrence, $100,000. So if you can tap her for something that she did, well, you can get $100,000 because, all limits and whatever. So, any one should be as bad as another. It shouldn't really matter what she did if you're using the proper terms. If you can check the box, you get $100,000. You want more than that, well, you're going to have to go argue in court. And I'm not interested in arguing. I'll just take the $100,000. and have them fix whatever it is I'm complaining about that brought me to put the claim against their insurance in the first place. Right, so this is the thing. We should be putting claims against their insurance. And that's done by people that are called personal injury attorneys. Right, what's a personal injury? Personal injury. According to Wikipedia, it's a legal term. Outstanding. It's just not two words. No, it's a legal term, and that legal term has a particular meaning for an injury to the body, mind, or emotions. Body, mind, and soul, I'm going to say. Body, mind, and spirit. As opposed to injury to property. But that is covered differently. But, a personal injury is an injury to your body, to your mind, or to your emotions. And it's a legal term. And so you have personal injury attorneys, right, aka ambulance chasers. Right? First Michigan Family Law. Who's this, I wonder? Sam Bernstein, of course. Them boys will come get you your money, right? This is what they do. Free consultation. We only get paid if we win, or if you win. Excellent. So if you give them the proper facts, they can win. That's how they get paid, is by winning, not by taking a retainer. They have to win. So you have to give them something they can win with. And if you will, well, they'll go do it because they can get paid. Right? This is how you divide Satan's house, right? You put one set of attorneys against another. And so you find a claim that you can do under the provisions of their liability insurance. And when you read these, in the liability insurance, it says any claim is done through arbitration or some other form of alternative dispute resolution. You don't go to court, right? These people have already agreed to go to arbitration or ADR by getting the coverage. So, who's insured? State of Illinois. Right? Then they have this other office, but the insured state of Illinois. So put your claim against the state of Illinois. Let them figure out who to go get it from, because that's what insurance does. You put a claim against the insurance, they pay it, and then they go sue somebody else. But, put your claim against the state, was my thinking. And so we'll see if we can do that in what we're about to read and the things I'm trying to do right now. I wanted to show one other thing, though, on this envelope. So this is how, tricky these bastards are. Because one of my claims will be against the County of Kent. See, this says Probate Court, County of Kent. But the letter on the inside says Kent County Probate Court, State of Michigan. Right? So the state of Michigan's involved in this. And if the state of Illinois has risk management insurance, well, then so does the state of Michigan. And in Michigan, all the municipalities, they all go under this thing called the Michigan Municipality League or something like that. I'll show you the proper term in a minute, but and that's who they get their insurance from. So your attorney will know if you give the person the right set of facts, they can go to the place that has the insurance and put the claim in. We don't go to court. You go to the insurance company and put the claim in. Now, maybe that means you need to send a letter to the insured first, but whatever it is, right, that's what the attorney does. And they get paid for winning. So negotiate a deal. Or make your claim against the United States, because in claims against the United States, all attorney fees for the winner, right, because you're going against the United States, so if you win your claim against the United States, then the United States will pay your reasonable attorney fees. And so the attorney can be paid basically by the United States government for submitting your claim and winning. And I'll let them figure out what it's worth, right? But there's your fee, right? That's what you get paid to file my claim. So what claim might you have against the United States? Well, if you're a veteran, you have all sorts of claims. And that's what I'll be doing, and I'm going to show you the first steps I took. But that was my thought, was I'm going to go and find me an attorney and say, look, this is a general liability claim or alternative dispute resolution claim. I don't want to go to court, right? I want to file a claim and have it settled. So let's see what we did here. Da-da-da. Okay. Yeah, it's easier if I do this. Hang on a second. Well, I'm hoping it's easier to, go through this boilerplate first to get an idea of what it says, and then look at some particular, set of adjudicative facts and say, well, how would you use this with these facts, to get it to the attorney so that they can do something with it, to get that first step done, and then let the experts take it from there, because, they have license. We don't. But our complaints are against other people that have license that are abusing their license. So we're trying to find one person with a license to do something for us against other people who abuse their license. And that's what an ambulance chaser will do, I'm hoping. But all these that I have seen, they have this commercial general liability coverage form in it. And it talks about things that are covered, right? We will pay those sums that the insured becomes legally obligated to pay as damages because of bodily injury, property damage, to which this issuance applies, or insurance applies. However, we have no duty to defend an insured against a suit seeking damages for bodily injury or property damage to which this insurance does not apply. We may, at our discretion, investigate any occurrence and settle any claim or suit that may result. So, by getting this insurance, all these people that are insured have agreed to let the frickin' insurance company settle the claim without their interaction. They could just settle the claim. Investigate and settle. That's their duty. And one thing I want to say in here, that as we're going to see this, they have it written in such a way that you're going to have to use this, that I believe that we need to approach this as a strict liability. Another one of those words with a particular meaning. In tort law, because we're dealing with torts, right? Tort law, a tort is anything other than a breach of contract. So in criminal and civil law, strict liability is a standard of liability under which a person is legally responsible for the consequences flowing from an activity, even in the absence of fault or criminal intent on the part of the defendant. So it's not the cop's fault that he doesn't have a proper oath of office, but the cop doesn't have a proper oath of office. So it's strict liability. Enough said. Right? It's not the fact that the or like a judge, right? They don't have a proper oath of office. So whether they know it or not doesn't matter. They don't have it. Point out that they don't have it. Show the errors. Show that they're using the middle initial on a oath of office. And the Real ID Act says that your legal identity, right, for identification purposes with the federal government is your full legal name. And the definition of full legal name doesn't allow you to use the middle initial. And the wording is wrong, and so forth and so on. I covered all this in my last video. Go watch it. I tore apart a bunch of people's oaths, and you can see what the problems are. So it doesn't matter that they think they have authority. They don't. Right? So, they didn't do it with criminal intent, but they did it. And so under strict liability, they're still liable. So tell them it's strict liability. That's like, forgiving them of their sin, but being compensated for your damages. Because if you don't do that, it cannot be settled under the general liability insurance policy, claim. You'd have to go take them to court. And I don't want to go to court. I just want to pay the claim. If you want to go to court, well, then do it as you please, right? But I want them to pay me without even going to the state to tell them they're going to pay me. Just pay the damn thing, and then the insurance company will figure out who they're going to sue to get paid. No other obligation or liability to pay sums, perform acts, services is covered unless explicitly provided for under supplementary payments. Coverages A and B. Yeah, figures. Hang on a second here, please. Okay. Now this boilerplate, right, would apply to whether you're getting insurance for yourself as a housekeeper or you're going to try to tap somebody else's insurance because of tort that's been done to you. Right? So there's two ways of looking at this as we read through them, and we'll look at both of them. And then it defines what they are, right? Yada, 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 how to be paid. Okay, okay. Then they have all the exclusions, the things they're not going to pay. Right? Contractual liability. Right? So that's why you can't make it about breach of contract, because it's excluded. So is liquor liability. So you can't use it for drinking and driving, it would sound like, until you look at this exclusion has its own exclusion. And however, this exclusion applies only if you are in the business of manufacturing, distributing, selling, or serving or furnishing alcoholic beverages. Da 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 da. Right? But if you've been drinking and driving and hit somebody, well, the insurance will still pay, because that's what this will be used for. Is it's really the thing that should be used as your auto insurance. Workers' compensation won't be paid. Employer's liability. Yeah. Those, when you get all done with this, it sounds like they won't pay for anything, but they will. Aircraft, auto, watercraft, right? Bodily injury or property damage arising out of ownership, maintenance, use, or entrustment of others of any aircraft, auto, or watercraft owned or operated by or rented or loaned to any insured. Use includes operation and loading and unloading. So it really sounds like, well, you can't use this, for any kind of protection involving an automobile. But we'll find that that isn't necessarily true. So they have their own exclusions, but they have even more when we get a little bit further into this. Okay, so here's all things that it's quite a list. Then we get down to coverage B. What was coverage A? Gee, where did it say that? Is that what the first one is? It must be that's how they do. They got coverage A. Where did it say? Oh, there's coverage A. Very good. Right? Because it's only under A, B, or C. There's three different kinds of coverages. This is A's. Now we'll look at B's. Personal and advertising injury liability. We will pay those sums that the insured become legally obligated to pay as damages because of personal and advertising injury to which this insurance applies. Well, anything on this form that's in quotations is defined in the definitions. I read that somewhere on here. So, right, this personal and advertising injury has a definition. And they'll pay those things if it has something to do with it. Right? Nothing else other than A or B. Here says C. This one says A and B. This one says coverage C. It says coverage A or B. I don't know how many different kinds of coverages they have, but let's lay them all out on the table and pick from them. But this shows you then, here's the exclusions, right? That, well, if you knowingly did it violating the law, they're not going to pay. If you publish anything knowing it was false, they're not going to pay. Prior to policy period, they're not going to pay. Criminal acts are not going to pay. Contractual liability, breach of contract, well, they won't pay for these. So if you want to be paid by the insurance without taking them to court and suing them, you would have to say that isn't the reason it is. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to say, no, hey, it's just strict liability. Of course he didn't know that he didn't have a proper oath of office, but it doesn't change the fact that they don't. right? Infringement on copyright, da 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 da. They, it can't be because of these reasons, although they're all listed as, faults. So we need to say as well, it wasn't any of those. It was simply a strict liability. What they did was technically unlawful. And that's all it takes. It doesn't matter what their intent was. What they did was unlawful or illegal because of not having proper authority. And because of that, then they'll pay the claim. Medical payments, sharing agreement, on premises you own or rent. On ways next to premises you own or rent. Right, supplemental payments, coverages A and B. So here's like another one. So here's the one that if we had the insurance, we will pay with respect to any claim we investigate or settle or any suit against an insured we defend, all expenses we incur, up to $250 for cost of all bail bonds required because of accidents or traffic law violations arising out of the use of vehicles to which the bodily injury liability coverage applies. We do not have to furnish these bonds. So if you're insured by them and you get a traffic ticket, right, they say that you violate traffic law. Now they got to give you a ticket that shows the law that you violated, and they don't do that. The piece of paper they give you that's supposed to be a traffic ticket, it doesn't properly cite any state motor vehicle infraction. It's just words. Not properly done. And this thing called bodily injury liability coverage, if you Google that, you'll see, well, that's what they have in automobile insurance. Right? That's what pays for somebody else if they get harmed. It pays for anybody who gets harmed in a car accident, even you. Bodily injury liability coverage. If it applies, then they're going to pay it. The cost of bonds to release attachments. Now, this is what's happening if you're in a foreclosure, right? They're attaching your property or any kind of civil suit. The other side has already put an attachment on your property. That's my opinion, right? And so this is how you get it released, and now they're going to have to prove their claim. They can't just attach it because you can attach somebody's property just by, claiming you want to attach their property. You don't have to have any evidence. You just have to file for the frickin' attachment. Right? So these are the things that, as a housekeeper, you could be protected from. All reasonable expenses incurred by insured at our request to assist us in investigation of our defense's claim of the suit, including actual loss of earnings up to $250 a day because of time off from work. All right, so they'll pay you $250 a day for being off of work. And your medical expenses, and get your property released. Prejudgment interest. So that at the first when I was reading about it, using it for me, I saw that and said, well, hell, that's why I would use it for that right there. Is because they're never going to file any kind of real traffic violation against you. They don't have a proper oath of office. They can't do it. Right, but you could cause an accident, right? So shit could happen, and if that happens, well, then it's good to know this bodily injury liability coverage applies. And it pays for anybody who's been harmed, up to the coverage amount of the thing. That's why it might be worth for $3 more to get $2 million in coverage instead of $1 million. Now, it's not the same price everywhere. This is the thing. They make you put in your zip code, and, if you live in a high-rent district, it's going to cost you more to have a housekeeper or be a housekeeper, but you may have other things you can use it for. Who is insured? An individual, you and your spouse, are insured, but only with respect to the conduct of a business of which you are the sole proprietor, which is why you get your name as a sole proprietor. Right? Your business is your name. And so, like it showed the insured with Lisa Madigan being the state of Illinois, on yours it would show the insured being, Robert Allen Retluski, or your version of it. a partnership, a joint venture, a limited liability company, organization other than partnerships, and trust. All these things can be insured. But I'm saying if you're trying to insure yourself, then it needs to be you and your full legal name taking liability. And that's why you got liability insurance. You are 100% liable. Here's my insurance. Each of the following are also insured. Your volunteer workers, maybe your children. Limits on insurance, blah, blah, blah. Commercial general liability conditions, bankruptcy, and insolvency of the insured, that would be you, or of the insured's estate, will not relieve us of our obligation under this coverage part. All right, they still have to pay Robert Allen Rutluski's debt, bill, claim against his estate. I want to use them to get that off because, there is no bankruptcy. What's happened is there's errors in the records that are keeping us from getting our estate. I'm going to show you evidence of it here in just a little bit. We have an estate. The state knows about it, but they're keeping it away from us, and, they're not giving us our account. Duties in the event of occurrences, offense, claim a suit. You must see to it that we are notified as soon as practical of occurrences or an offense which may result in a claim. To the extent possible, notice should include. Okay, well, we could wait till the county of, or Lisa Madigan contacts her insurance company, or we can contact them ourselves, right? Send both a copy of the claim. That's for your attorney to figure out. How is he going to get paid? He knows all the shortcuts to doing as little as possible to get the fee for winning. But he will win. Primary insurance. So, he can look this over and figure out how to do it. Auto means, right? Land vehicles and so forth. Yeah, it makes it sound like it's an automobile. So these are all the definitions now. Insured contract means a contract for lease of premises. Easement or license agreement, obligation as required by ordinance. What are we doing here? These are different kinds of insured contracts. That's what they are, right? So since they're insured contracts, then they're covered by your liability insurance. All right, so if you have any obligation required by ordinance and you fail to meet it, well, then it's covered by your insurance. Or if you have any insured contract, which is, that's what your purchase agreement for buying a house was. You got title insurance. You have an insured contract to have title insurance. But they didn't put your name on it, right? They put a legal fiction as the insured instead of your name. But it should have been you. You have a contract, and so the case should be covered in that case under somebody else's. Like the buyer's agent's liability insurance. Because the buyer's agent on a buy-sell agreement for real estate has a fiduciary duty to the buyer, which would be you, and then whatever that form says is what he's, responsible for. And it says on there that you're going to get legal title, that you're going to have fee simple title in your property. Well, they never transfer the title into your name. They make up a legal fiction, and they put this thing in they call a warranty deed, but it's legally insufficient. The title insurance doesn't have your name on it. It's legally insufficient for you to claim against. All that shit is his fault. Right? So put the claim against his insurance. I'm sure that, that these personal injury attorneys have databases to everybody's insurance. What we need to tell them is we don't want to go to court. No, this all has to be settled under the provisions of the title insurance policy. If you can't do it, then I don't want you. I'll go find somebody else. Okay, so here's that thing about, it said earlier, they pay personal and advertising injuries, right? Well, what does that mean? It means injuries, including consequential bodily injury arising out of one or more of the following offenses: false arrest, detention, or imprisonment; malicious prosecution. Well, that means pretty much anything that happens to you when you're dealing with them, other than wrongful eviction, wrongful entry, invasion of right of private occupancy of a room, dwelling, or premises when they crash your door down and come and put you in handcuffs, or a written publication in any means or material that slanders or libels a person or organization or disparages a person or organization's goods, products, or services. Well, that would be like, putting your foreclosure notice in the newspaper, publishing a foreclosure notice, publishing your mugshot, publishing that you had been arrested, publishing any of that stuff in something by people who don't have a proper oath of office to have charged you with anything anyways, and then to find out, well, they're really not charging you with any law, they're just charging you with a bunch of words. Well, yeah, I want my claim paid. I'll forgive them and pay the claim. Here's all the things that these personal injury attorneys would need. Infringing on another's copyright, trade dress, or slogan in your advertisement. Right? Well, my slogan's Robert Allen Ritlewski. You can't use it. I say it's copyrighted. In fact, I pointed out that on a sacrament record, when what was I looking at? Oh, it was the Diocese of Gaylord. They have a PDF that talks about how they handle sacrament records. And it says on there that a sacrament record is the copyright of the Diocese of Gaylord. What's on there? It's got your name. So does that mean they've copyrighted your name? I mean, that's not the only thing on there. But they say that, they have a copyright on the sacrament record. Well, I believe that means they have a copyright on the information on the sacrament record, which part of that's your name. Well, I say I have a copyright on it. It's my name. I got a certificate of live birth that says it's my name. Then what property damage means and what loss means and so forth. So if you wanted to have something like this to highlight, because the problem is when you download it from the site that I showed you, you can't highlight it. It's like a certified copy of this information. It has lots of other bits on it. In fact, I'll show you. Where's the complete copy of complete policy? All right, this is what you're going to get. I hope to show you. Come on now. Policy and other fun stuff. Right, and part of it is it's got that blue border on it, so you can't copy it, you can't highlight it, and so forth. But you can find it on there, and when you find it, at the bottom, you'll see that it has this little thing on here. And if you were just to then Google that, you'll find, just a copy of the boilerplate we're looking at that you could highlight, because I like to highlight things. So there you are, right? For these reasons, this is the back of the can on general liability insurance. And it says if you want, reading between the lines, if you want to file a claim against somebody on their insurance, then you have to agree to say that it was strict liability, right? It wasn't a crime. It wasn't just strict liability. Apparently, it was an accident, which is an intentional act, but it was an accident. They thought they had it. They don't. So it doesn't matter that they thought they did. They don't. Therefore, pay the claim. And, not have me even ask the state, just pay the damn claim because, I'm happy with that. But if you want more than that, I'm not saying you can't get it. It's just you would have to go to court and, talk to your attorney about that. That's why you get a half-hour free consultation with a private injury attorney. Show them your evidence and cut a deal. If he says he wants 30%, say, well, any attorney will give me that. What will you give me? Right? And start working against him until you get down to the number that you'll pay, right? But, I mean, it's worth the time to have him do it for you. Say they can have reasonable attorney fees as determined by the United States government. Because they're not going to court. They're just going to write a legal document and send it into the insurance company. This isn't rocket science. It's not going to go to it's not going to have to go to arbitration with a hearing. It's going to go to a what do they call them? A neutral, which is basically the insurance company. And they're going to decide if it gets paid. If they decide to pay it, the insured's already agreed that they can. So, okay, I'm going to show you some particular instances that might be used for. So hang on a second here. Hey, again, but until this works, right, I need your financial support. So if you could, take a second, write down robwriter@aol.com for PayPal. You have a PayPal account. If you don't have a PayPal account, you want to pay by a credit card, well, then send me an email and say, hey, I'd like to donate, $20, $50, $100, whatever you can afford. And then I can send you an invoice for that amount through PayPal that you can use your credit card to pay on. Right? So, but you need to tell me how much you would like to donate. Or you can send it in the regular mail. That's fine. It could be cash, money order, credit card, check, so forth and so on. So, hey, this is what I'm trying right now. So let's look at what I'm going to try to do. I've sent this out this morning, and let's see if we get an answer. So what I did is I went to the State of Michigan State Bar of Michigan website, and they had a place in there to put in what kind of attorney you're looking for, personal injury. Do you want a city? Yeah, I picked the Grand Rapids, and got a list of them. Picked one, so let me send something to them, and let's go fishing. So, seeking claims representative for personal and advertising injuries. Somebody who's a lawyer at some address, because that's what they said their profession was, that they're a lawyer. Well, all lawyers are attorneys and counselors at law. So, counselor, it's the counselor part that requires them to have a license. All counselors have to be licensed. Counselor. I'm a 62-year-old veteran, enlisted member of the Armed Forces of the United States, seeking legal counsel from a personal injury attorney regarding a variety of strict liability public torts that adversely affect the common good and are causing me numerous personal and advertising injuries and the loss of use of my personal property. As you can see, I'm trying to use their words as much as I can. The State of Michigan Bar website lists you as this class of lawyer. I wish to hire a lawyer to represent my public tort claims against the United States government in accordance with 31 U.S.C. 3702, authority to settle claims, and settle various other claims under the State of Michigan and its local agents' personal and advertising insurance liability coverage provided by their commercial general liability insurance policy. I don't think the United States government has general liability insurance policy, right? But state of Michigan does. State of Michigan isn't the government. It's a freaking corporation. Just like the county of Kent is, just like county of Kalkaska, county of Kane, pick your county of. These are all businesses that are listed on Dun & Bradstreet. And if you ever looked to search on businesses on Dun & Bradstreet, one of their options is to put in the business's phone number. So if you go find your local court's phone number and put in the phone number and then see what business it's attached to, it won't be attached to the court. It'll be attached to the county of Kent or county of Kane or whatever the hell it is, right? They're all part of a business. Well, so is the state of Michigan, and they're all listed on Dun & Bradstreet. So they all have this, they all have liability insurance. They may be self-insuring, but they still have to have commercial general liability insurance. It's a particular kind of insurance that a business has to have. Well, they don't have to, but, they do because that's how they protect themselves. Under general liability insurance policy definitions, a suit is always some sort of alternative dispute resolution. Let's go look at that. I didn't show you that. Where did it say suit? Right? Because all this comes out of their boilerplate, right? So this is why we want to use what they said and just make them do what they said. Suit means civil proceeding in which damages because of bodily injury, property damage, or personal and advertising injury to which this insurance applies are alleged. Suits include an arbitration proceeding in which such damages are claimed and to which the insured must submit or does submit with our consent, or any other alternative dispute resolution proceeding in which such damages are claimed and to which the insured submits with our consent. Those kind is always some form of alternative dispute resolution. By accepting the insurance, the defendants agreed, because now these people are defendants. The ones I'm going after, they're the defendant. I'm the plaintiff. Agreed to settle by alternative dispute resolution methods, and I also agree to these terms. My claim in any suit shall be settled by alternative dispute resolution according to federal law and terms and conditions of defendant's insurance policy, not by judicial proceedings. Now, I'm not saying you can't have judicial proceedings, but I don't want them. I'm just going to settle the claim, forgive them for their sin, and move on with my life. Right? Don't do it again. Fix the record so it doesn't happen again. Right? Because they get tapped 2-3 times, well, then they lose their insurance. This is the key about the insurance. They have to have it. If you tap it, well, then they're in trouble. Under the Equal Access to Justice Act, the United States government will pay my reasonable attorney fees if I win a controversy involving the United States as defendant. I am in expectation of my lawyer accepting the United States government's determination on said lawyer's value for representing my claims wherein the United States is a defendant. In other words, the United States will pay you, just put the paper in. If you win, you get paid. That's what they do. That should be a no-brainer to somebody who gets paid for winning. My first tort claim against the defendant United States personally affects all veterans of the Armed Forces of the United States. For its own reasons, the United States government does not release veterans from custody and control of the military. I may have done a few videos on this subject. As a result, all veterans are entitled to disabled or non-disabled retirement pay, enhanced Social Security pay, a military identification card, and privileges such as trial by court-martials and other privileges. Because of errors or omissions in official military records, veterans are denied the identity card that proves DoD affiliation and entitlement to their pay. That's why they don't want to give us the card, because it proves you're affiliated with the DoD and that you're entitled to this pay. So they can't give it to you, or they'd have to pay you instead. They couldn't claim they didn't know where you are. Instead of this pay going into the pocket of the veteran or survivor, this retirement pay is deposited into the military retirement fund. Go Google it. To be invested by persons claiming fees based on the fund size. Well, it's to their advantage that it's in that freaking account. Yeah, I may have said that. It's to the financial advantage of fund managers that this pay be deposited in the fund instead of the veteran. To date, this fund has over $1 trillion of owed retirement pay that should have gone directly to veterans or survivors, but was deferred to this fund due to administrative errors by the United States government's federal employees. It's their fault. Because even if you initially filled the form out wrong, that is causing this error, when you did it, you were a federal employee. It's the federal employees' fault. It's not my fault. It was the federal employees. I want the United States government to acknowledge I am still a member of the Armed Forces of the United States, issue me my Armed Forces of the United States identification card, and pay me both the retroactive pay and all pay due me from this day forward. My claims against so that's my claim against the United States. Let's just start there. That's for every veteran. You have the same claim. This is why they don't want to give you the ID card. And if you are retired, you have an inferior retirement ID card. There is one that's better. but they're not giving it to you or me or anyone else. It's just the way it is. For under Title, is it 10 USC, Title 10, United States Code, Section 501, 502, 503, 506, maybe it's 506. It's in the very first part of the 5 O's. It says that if you're an enlisted member of the armed forces, that they can extend your enlistment till 6 months after a war ends. Well, the United States is always at war. We're talking lowercase w war, right? Any armed conflict is a war. And so they have continued to keep us as reserves, or they're retiring us under disability retirement, knowing that it's not going to go to us and go to this fund, and then the fund managers can, play with the money. And if you go look at the audit for this fund, you'll see that it cost for payroll and other expenses almost $150 billion a year. 150 billion. It's a boondoggle on the back of veterans' funds, and that's trapped in this account. The Congress pays all the money it takes to cover all the expenses in it in any 1 year of the retirement. Right? So there's no need to have a fund. Why is it in the fund? Why is there $1 trillion of money in the frickin' fund? Only for one reason, because it's not going to the veteran or their survivors. Right? Go explain that to a personal injury attorney, and when you get his agreement, go tell every other veteran. The guy can claim, he can do all the paperwork. It's class action. Okay, but moving on. So my claims against the defendant state of Michigan and its accomplices are for various personal and advertising injury infractions, such as false arrest, detention, imprisonment, malicious prosecution, infringing on my copyright, trade, dress, or slogan, disturbing my peace and privacy, and damaging my personal property by my loose loss of its use. These corporations' employees have filed counterfeit oaths of office, impersonate federal, state, and local government officers, and simulate legal processes. It's what they're doing because they don't have a proper oath of office. It's all color of law. Simulate a legal process, and doing it causing the deprivation of rights under color of law. These corporations and their employees have no constitutional authority to enforce the laws of the United States or Michigan. These entities are private associations, not the civil government. I am not a member of these societies, and yet they accidentally treat me as one of their subjects. There's an error in the records. Thankfully, these actors are required to carry general liability insurance. I am not one of their members, and I want my property returned and my damages compensated. Defendants, County of Montcalm, County of Kent, City of Greenville, Township of Oakfield, carry their own commercial general liability insurance policy through the Michigan Municipal League / Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority or similar insurance provider, and have agreed to resolving controversies using alternative dispute resolution for claims. That's what I want to do. I forgive the transgressors, but rebuke their transgression. I wish to settle for the per occurrence insured amounts. It could be $100,000. Have all errors or omissions in official records of Robert Allen Lusky, owner, Social Security number 374506794, corrected. My estate converted to legal tender payable to me for my exclusive use and enjoyment, and be assured that I will be left at peace by these belligerents. Right? So, if you go to court for a traffic case, the state was involved, the court was involved, which is run by the county, right? In Michigan, the county is the local funding unit of the court. So the state, the county, the court has its own general liability insurance policy, or can have. The city that wrote the ticket, because on the top of the ticket it says State of Michigan, but some entity acting as the agent of the State of Michigan is the one that's going to, issue it to you. So they all have their own insurance policy, and they all have a limit. So tick, 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 get them all. All right? 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, all for the same thing. Whatever the amount is, and be happy. Forgive the transgressors and move on with your life. And then, and fix the frickin' record so it doesn't happen again. So, please let me know if you're interested in contracting to represent my claim. Because in this case, with the attorney, I'm expecting to sign a contract, and both of us are going to sign it, or well, we ain't doing business, right? You're not going to represent me. You're going to represent my claim. That's the terms they use in the boilerplate. Either you or the representative of your claim, right? So they're not representing me. They're going to represent my claim. If you are, then we can get started right away. I have the documentary evidence from official records that prove my claims. What I need is a lawyer to represent these claims. I respectfully submitted, There you go. So I sent that by email to an attorney office today, and we'll see if they answer me today, tomorrow, or when it is. But okay, now I can show you what kind of things I'm talking about. So here's a perfect example of the kind of crap that happens. Where are they? I have that. And this. They go together. Okay, so last March, almost a year ago, I was issued State of Michigan uniform law citation. So they say. That has all sorts of errors on it by somebody who wasn't using his name, agency name, Greenville Department of Public Safety. So I'm saying this is the agent of the state of Michigan, right? They issued this ticket. It has all sorts of errors on it that I've shown in other videos, but just to show you now, like in this one here, I don't have a driver's license. They put this down as my driver's license number, right? I don't have a driver's license. I have a Michigan state ID. It says on its ID card, it's not a driver's license. And yet they put it in that it was my operator's driver's license. Well, they have an operator's license, and I don't have that. I have a state ID. And they didn't put in the last four of my social security number, right? That's an omission. So we really don't know what Robert Allen Rutluski we're talking about in this ID number because it's not properly authenticated. But here's the name, right? So I'm saying, well, what you're charging then is my business because this is the address of my business. And this is why I would have insurance because they're charging my business. What they said, what I was doing, and they said, right? It was a local ordinance violation, right? This person named above is a violation of a local ordinance, state law, or admin rule. And they said local ordinance, which would mean I should be able to go to, the city of Greenville's ordinance manual and find this thing called 8271, 8277. But of course, they don't exist. And they're misdemeanors. Well, you can't have I don't believe you can have an ordinance misdemeanor. You can have a civil violation, but not a misdemeanor. If it's a misdemeanor, that's a state infraction, not an ordinance infraction. And then they put these numbers down that you would believe that these are Michigan compiled law statute numbers, but they're not because they don't start with MCL, which is part of the proper citation of a Michigan compiled law statute. Right? Wrong. More wrong. Let's do some more wrong. I got an appearance certificate. Check if appropriate. Right? None of these were checked. Person is active military service. Well, that should have been checked because I am. I say because I never got a discharge order. Right? It takes three things to be discharged from the military, and they all need to be sent to you as part of the notice. And that is a DD-214, discharging you from the military, or custody and control of the military, separation order, separating you from the custody and control of the military, and a certificate, right? And they all had to be done at the same time. So, most people's DD-214s say on them that they were released to the reserves. It doesn't say they were released from the custody and control of the military. But if they're releasing you from the military, well, that's the kind of discharge it has to be. Not discharge from active duty, which is what most of them are. So technically, you're still on active military service. You're just not at active duty, right? You're in the reserves. And they didn't check the box. It goes on to say what you need to do. Appearance date, on or before 3/14/2019. So before 8 a.m., 3/14/2019, I needed to appear someplace. Right? And they give this as the probable address to go to. But it's 64B District Court, Montcalm, CO. Well, that isn't a state court. Who the hell are they? I got nothing to do with them people. Right? They may be a court of state of Michigan, but they're not a court of Michigan, which is the civil government, which is where I am, which I'm subject to. I'm not subject to the state of Michigan. I'm not under their authority. Your ID isn't from the state of Michigan, it's from Michigan. So why is this thing called State of Michigan, which is a business, listed in Dun & Bradstreet that has general liability insurance just like any other business, why are they claiming any authority over me? And then the complainant signature was Stephen DeWitt, and the officer's name was Stephen DeWitt. Well, if that's the case, then Officer Stephen DeWitt needs to have this thing called a Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards certificate proving that he was certified by this state-approved board to be a law enforcement officer. And so every state has their own style of MCOLs, is what it's called here, right? It's a board that certifies that somebody has actually taken whatever courses they need to take and are certified a law enforcement officer. And they have to have that before they can go and apply for a job, and then it has to be kept in part of their records. So if they can't show me a record for Stephen DeWitt, named Stephen DeWitt, then Stephen DeWitt doesn't have that, and he doesn't have any authority. Well, those were all the things I said. So at the end of the day, what was I being charged for? No operator's license, multiple operators, no ops. What the hell is that? Drove unregistered vehicle. Now, neither of those descriptions are covered under the Michigan compiled laws for the Michigan Vehicle Code. Right? It's just words. I'm not being charged for anything under the Michigan compiled laws. Well, so I tried all sorts of things. I sent them all sorts of mail saying, hey, guys, you don't have any authority, and here's the reason, and you don't have an oath of office, and da-da-da. Well, it didn't seem to make any difference. They kept on going, and eventually I got some mail, more mail, that said that I was in violation of drove while unlicensed or license not valid. But not any Michigan compiled law statute. There's no statute. It's just words. Right? Well, those words, they don't match these words. So they're not even charging me for the same thing that I was supposed to have been charged for in the first place. So who the hell is the state of Michigan Department of State, Lansing, that believes they're going to charge me for an infraction that has nothing to do with the Michigan compiled laws? It has nothing to do with any local city of Greenville ordinance, and say they're doing it because what they're doing complies with the law. So they say they're complying with the law, but I didn't comply with the law, but they didn't tell me what law I didn't comply with. That's what I'm saying. And they did it, on both of these, registration and or plate violation. Where's that at? It's not on here, right? Those words aren't used on here. If I'm being charged for words, you got to use the same words. They're not. And so they're claiming they can suspend my license and so forth and so on. And, they want me to mail my driver's license to this address, right? The state of Michigan wants me to mail it to Michigan. Not the state of Michigan, but to Michigan. So who the hell's the state of Michigan? I told you, they're a business. They got liability insurance. Let's put a claim against it. So that's where we are, right? This is what they did for me. Oh, the other thing is these addresses, right? So here's 64B District Court, right? It doesn't say like this other ticket did. Dash Montcalm CO, 617 North N State Road, RD, right? Here is 617 N State Street, not road. Different address, Stanton, Michigan, 48888. And they got that line the same, but they got different zip codes or different phone numbers. And this one, they didn't put the area code in parentheses. They got some crazy shit going on here where there's something missing. But I hear it's 989-831-7421. This is 7450. It's a different freaking court. So they wanted me to go to this court, right? Is what it looks like. But I'm being charged, I need to go to this court to answer. Well, they're not the same court. They're not the same phone number. So, that's one thing I want to complain about against the state. And then I have this other one. That's one thing that I had changed my residence address. I guess I should show that. So give me a second. I gotta find it. So one of the other things I had done back in the day was this idea of where your residence is, right? So Michigan change of address or voter registration. So if you're going to change your address, they say you have a residence address and you have a mailing address. Well, when you look at the definition of residence address, right, they talk about being, your place of residence. Well, your place isn't your house. Your place is the township or whatever the municipality is that you live in. So I said, okay, well, what's the residence? What's the address of the township hall? And you go to the township hall website and look at it. It's 10300 14 Mile Road, Rockford, Michigan, 49341. It's in Kent County. Okay, well, I'm going to use that. But because it said here, street and number, I said, okay, well, they want the street first. It's 14 Mile Road, and then the number. They say it's Rockford, Michigan, 49341, Kent County. Good enough for me. What's my mailing address? Well, I said it was, what my house number is, 10955, but I'll put that at the end. I have a Northeast, Rockford, Check here, removed current mailing address on file. Yep, that's what I wanted them to do. Signed it. Then they had this other side here. Are you a citizen of the United States of America? No, I'm not. Right? I am a citizen of the United States, but I'm not a citizen of the United States of America. Under the 14th Amendment, you would be a citizen of the United States. If you're a citizen of the United States of America, that puts you in King George III's survivors jurisdiction, right? Because if you look at the Treaty of Peace from Paris, 1783, King George is talking about the things that he claims dominion over, and one of them is the United States of America, and no one's ever disputed it, right? The United States of America is a dominion of England. It's not the United States of America, the Republic. It's United States of America, an association living in the Republic, right? By free association. And it's trying to make you a member of its association when you may not want to be in its association because that's where you find yourself now, and they're not really very friendly. So I said, no, I'm not, And then it said, are you a citizen of the United States? Well, yes, I am. Right, so this one I signed. I said, no, I'm not here, and I did this. Sent the thing in, and, some little bit of time later, I get mail to Robert Allen Roluski, 14 Mile Road, 10300. just like I had put on there. And it gave me a change of label to put on the back of my card, on my ID card. Okay, so I had done that, and before I go any further, and because of things that happened afterwards, I bitched to the state about this, and they've changed the form now, and it doesn't look the same, but I'm doing it again right now as we speak. That after I had done this, I said, well, let me change it to a different address, and I did, but I probably should have kept it at that address, because after I had done this right here and said that my residence address is this address, 14 Mile Road 10300, which is the Township Hall's address. Just go look at your Township Hall website or city or whatever. City of Greenville, it'll give an address. Well, that's what the address is. Whatever municipality that you believe you live in, for whatever reason, it has an address. And file a change of address. That's what I did. Well, because I didn't like this form, I complained about it, and they created another form. By having done this, I got these bills here that came to this address. Rotate clockwise. Right, to 10955 14 Mile Road Northeast, because I had said that was my mailing address. But in those bills, because this happened, date issued 8/10/2018, just after I had done these things with this change of address. When did this come? We got a date on there? Here's the date. 7/30/18, right? Well, 10 days later, I'm getting mail that says I have an assessment. Bill for taxes due, intent to assess. And it's against this account, right? F823654127 that I know nothing about. I have no idea where that account is. Never heard of it. I didn't know I had such an account. All I know is they say that Robert Allen Rutluski has this account, and he hasn't paid this bill, this tax. This particular tax is, what is this one? What type of tax? This is a sales tax. All right, so if they're saying that I owe $5,400 in taxes, and in Michigan sales tax is 6%, I should be able to do the math and say, well, that means that somewhere else there's other, well, what the heck is it? What do I need to do to figure that out? 5,400. How do you do ratios? 5,400 divided by 0.06 equals $90,000, right? So where's the other almost $90,000 at? Because I don't have it. It never came to me. Yet, apparently, that much business was run through my business, Robert Allen Rutluski, to cause me to owe this tax and penalties and interest. Well, they sent me two of them. They sent me another one for, using the same logic for Michigan use tax for $5,400. So I had $5,400 in use tax and $5,400 in sales tax. Well, to me, that sounds like $10,800 in taxes against an account that I know nothing about, but I would like to. And so that's what I did. I said, that this was issued under this law, and you go look at that law. It says what to do if you don't agree and so forth. And I did those things, and they refused to give me my hearing that I had asked for their own reasons, right? But this is all done by apparently Michigan Department of Treasury, based on a change that I did to my address. I got this. So now I'm going to change it back. I'm going to leave it there and see what other mail I get. And anything I get, I'm going to try to, get the claim settled under the entity's liability insurance policy. And so what I wanted to show, I guess, lastly, so this is, another thing I have going, that they say I owe this tax. If I owe the tax, well, then where's the account? Right? Prove it to me. They were supposed to send you all the information that they used to come up with this number. Because I never contacted them to do anything, right? So they came up with their own number, and however they came up with this number of $5,400, they had to do the calculations, and so they have the paperwork someplace, and they're supposed to send it to you if you ask for it. And I did, and they won't send it to me. So that's my complaint. I want to show you how they changed this form. From here, right, now it looks like this. Or are you a citizen of the United States of America? No. 18 years of age? Yes. And I had complained to them saying that the way they had this thing set up, that they were making you, coercing you into giving up your citizenship as a citizen of the United States. So it was interesting. They did change the form. And the only thing that's changed in the last year is I complained. So why else would they change the form and make it much shorter? New residence address. So I'm going to do the same thing. 14 Mile Road, 1300, Rockford, Michigan, Kent County. Because I couldn't get Kent County to fit in here. I just put Kent. And my address, right, because it says street and number. 14 Mile Road, Northeast, 10955. Maybe I should have put the word and in because they have it there, right? Comma. P.O. Box. Well, I have a unit instead of a P.O. Box. It's 55. City, Grand Rapids, not Rockford, because according to the probate court, for my mailing address, they use Grand Rapids, so I'm going to use it too, which is the county seat, right? What's a Grand Rapids to me? What's the county seat? It's where the courts are. So what city is the courts in? Right? If it's Grand Rapids for you, then so be it, right? Where's your post office? Well, that's Grand Rapids also. Okay, then use it. If that's the case. But, that, as I showed on the thing for on the 1040 form, if you go back and look at that. I don't know if I still have it open. No, I closed it. So, that was it. Then you do this thing here, sign here, send it in. Michigan law requires the same address be used for voter registration, driver's license purposes. Therefore, if the residence address you provide in the application differs from your voter registration address as it appears on the qualified voter file, the Secretary of State will automatically change your registration to match the residence address on the application, after which your voter registration at your former address will no longer be valid for voting purposes. A new voter information card containing the information of your polling place will be provided to you by the clerk of the jurisdiction where your residence is located. So that's what I'm going to do, is go down there and ask them for a new voter registration card, information card from the township after they change my address to reflect what I want it to reflect. If you check the box, right, which I didn't check the box, so now they could check the box and screw me, but it's not checked now, right? That's the problem is, I didn't have to check it. I probably should have crossed it all out, but I didn't. Your decision will remain confidential and will only be used for voter registration purposes. If you're already registered, checking the box won't cancel your registration or stop your registration address from being updated. So I want to see if they change my registration address to, to match this. Because then my residence is the township hall, and I think that I've changed my status instead of my residence being, my mailing address or the place where the particular home that I reside in. My place of residence is the township. It isn't this house. Okay, hey, that's the things that I've done, and that's where we're at today, and I guess I'm done talking. But if you want to know what I'm talking about mainly, you should go download a copy of this and look at the personal and advertising injury section and say, well, this is the things that are happening to you in your life if you've been falsely arrested, detained, or imprisoned, or maliciously prosecuted wrongfully evicted from your house, had somebody break into your house and kick your ass out, whatever the reason, this is what happened to you, right? Forgive and collect. That's all I can tell you. Otherwise, you're going to have to go to court to settle for punitive damages, and that could take years. This doesn't take years. This just takes a shorter period of time. But the thing to remember is there's multiple entities that are involved. The state, the county, the local. Tell the insurance company, go find them all and tap them all. You want them to all to pay the amount that's been agreed per occurrence. And leave it as simple as that. Okay, I'm done. Have a great day now.